G'day, welcome to Larrikin, Japan. Today I thought we'd have a bit of a talk about the rice shortage and the rice prices, how they've just doubled over the last couple of years. And I can't see there being an end in the near future. So, got to here, this one here, this is one of my father-in-law's rice fields. He's got another one over there and another one over yonder. So he used to do it himself. When I first came to Japan, he used to grow the seedlings, plant them and everything. But now he's getting on in age. He's about 85 or so. He rents them out to, I think maybe JA do them, and he gets a percentage of the rice. They give him like rice tickets, so he doesn't have to buy rice. He gets it sort of given to it. They grow the rice. They do everything, they harvest it and everything, and then he gets a certain amount of rice tickets for it. But like when I first come to Japan, all these rice fields were all rice. But now they've been growing a lot of other stuff. Over there they're growing wheat, I can see it here. They're growing some wheat over here too. Where before it was all rice. And like going back probably 3-4 years ago, the rice price was pretty low and they were growing a lot more alternative crops like wheat, soya beans, that sort of thing. They could make more money off them, the farmers. So they were doing a lot of that. And I think this, their stockpile got a bit low. Also, with the last few years, it's been really hot, so the rice yield hasn't been as good. You know, they've still had a lot of rice they're harvesting, but a lot of it's not top quality. It's cracked or it's undersized, things like this. So I was talking to a mate the other day. He was telling me about, so that sort of rice, it gets sold off to make rice crackers and that sort of stuff. Gets used to produce food, not for eating. So the amount of rice for eating has reduced. So last year it sort of all began. About this time last year, or yeah, around this time, everywhere started running out of rice. And you couldn't get rice. The price just doubled. We used to buy rice for under 4,000 yen for 10 kilos. Then when this happened, it just went up to 8,000 yen. It just doubled in price. So it just got crazy. So this is a big problem, and it hasn't stopped. Now, I think there's a few reasons why we ran out of rice. I think the government or JA were stockpiling it and weren't releasing enough of it, because I know when we couldn't buy rice, the wife got a ticket off the father-in-law, off her father, to get some rice, and I went up to JA and they had plenty of rice up there, and in the warehouse they had a lot of rice. You know, it's only a small shop up there, but you know, they were saying you couldn't get rice anywhere, but they had plenty. So that's one thing, I think. Another thing is, with the weekend, we were getting so many tourists coming to Japan, and where before they maybe stay for a week or 10 days, because the yen was so weak, they could get a really good time. They were staying here a lot longer. They were staying here, you know, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So, and last year was a record number of tourists we had to Japan. So, you know, they come and they're eating rice and that sort of thing. So, and they're staying a lot longer. So we might have had X amount of tourists, but really that sort of number was doubled because they were staying here twice as long as they used to. So, you know, that all adds up to the amount of rice was eaten. So this is why we sort of run out. And then you've got Another reason, like the price has gone up too, everything's gone up. Fuel prices, electricity prices, gas prices. So it's costing more to grow the rice. You know, they have to, you know, like first off, they use tractors and dig it all up. Then they have to flood it and then dig it again with the tractor, and then they have to grow the seedlings, plant them, you know, fertilize them so many times while it's growing, harvest it. Then they have to dry the rice. Like the mate I was talking to, he was saying a couple of years ago it was between 15 and 20 yen a kilo to dry the rice and to repack it into bags. So this year that could even be more expensive. You know, that could go up to like 30 yen a kilo. They just don't know at the moment. It's whatever JA wants to charge. So all this sort of stuff has led to an increase in the rice price. Now they are bringing some rice in from California. It's in the supermarkets, but like we're paying 4,000 yen for 5 kilos now, where we used to get 10 kilos for that price. And the Californian rice is about 3,500, so it's about 500 yen cheaper. So it's not that cheaper. So I don't know. But here they've got all rice in here. It's all going. Over here, they put this in a little while ago. But we've got a bit of wheat over there, you can see it. Before, this all used to just be rice. You know, 30 years ago, there wasn't any other crops in here. It was just rice. These were just rice fields. So, but now they're growing a lot of other stuff. Now, like my father-in-law, a lot of the farmers, they're getting ancient now. You know, they're all up in their 80s and that sort of stuff. So they rent their rice fields out to people, and then they grow their rice, and they usually get like 10%. So if let's say on this rice field here, if they pulled off a ton, 1,000 kilos, the farmer would get 100 kilos of rice. So that's the general rule. They get about 10%. It depends on the contractor and the farmer, but that's sort of about it on the general rule of thumb. So a lot of them do that now. Like the father-in-law, he hasn't grown rice for, I don't know, probably 20 years or so. He just rents it out. It's easy for him. He doesn't have to do anything. They come in and do everything, and he gets rice. He gets enough rice for the year. So now there is a bloke over here. He started up a farming business. I think he was he's been doing it for a long time. I think he was pretty low-keyed. He didn't have much. But as the people are getting older and he's getting more and more rice fields and different things, he's expanded. So I'll show you up here. Here's his big shed up here. But see, here we've got wheat here. Wheat growing here, this little one here. So this used to be a rice field before. But now it's wheat. So it's only small, but it all adds up. So it's a big thing. So there's shortage. So this year, I think it looks like they're growing more than they did last year. But we'll just have to see how the weather goes. Typhoons, usually when they start to harvest, it's around typhoon season. So the typhoons, they flatten it. And if they don't get it off before the typhoon, it will sort of flatten it. So then they get less yield for that rice field. So this all comes into the equation. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into it. Like Japan's agricultural minister, he got replaced. A few weeks ago, he made some stupid comments about how he's never bought rice, how he gets it for free, and he's got enough stockpile at home he could sell it and all this sort of stuff. And that went down like a bag, like a lead balloon, you know. So he ended up, he had to resign, and a new fella's taken over now. And they've said that they're releasing 300,000 tons of rice to help the market, help the shortage, and also help reduce the price. But at the moment, I haven't seen anything about it. So yeah, so you know, like I think 300,000 tons is not going to make a real big difference. I don't think for Japan. You know, like a lot of old people, they have 3 meals of rice a day. They'll have it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, see here, this all used to be rice, but now we've got wheat. All these fields here, right up to the road over there. These are all wheat. You can see it. So this is this is sort of reducing the amount of rice that's being produced. So it all makes a big impact on the amount of rice that's growing. And like the price of rice is just crazy at the moment. And it's going to be like that this year. Next year, will it come down in price? I don't know. But I think JA has sort of tried to do, I think JA has had something to do with this too, Japan agriculture. They're trying to push the price of rice up. So if the shortage of prices come up, it will probably come down a bit, but it's never going to come back to what it was. Now see, this is this professional farmer fella. So he's got all his gear in here. He built this one to keep tractors and planters and everything in here. In his shed here, he has the big rice dryers and everything. So he can dry the rice. He can take the husk off it and polish it and everything. He does everything himself. So this is some of his equipment. And he's got another shed up here where he's got a lot of stuff. He's got, I don't know, he could have $500,000 invested into this enterprise, you know. So he's got tractors, you know, so he's got this shed with his dryer and his storage and that sort of thing. So he's got a lot of money invested in here. I talk to him on and off. I see him sometimes. He's out flying his drone and that, doing the crops with the drone. And I've spoken to him and he just said he can't afford to buy any more new equipment. It's just got too expensive. So, yeah. But he, you know, he's got the tractors here. Got one up here. He's coming up the road in now. But got tractor here in the field here. I don't know what these are worth. I don't know how much these tractors are cost, but they'd cost a bit. But all the harvesters and everything he's got, you know, he's got, yeah, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars tied up. Got a bit of a dog here. Hi, boy. Looking after the stuff. So he's got a rice planter here, these tractors for digging up. He's got his truck. You know, he's got so much stuff all in the shed there. We won't go in there. I don't want to. Now, this is how they grow the rice. They grow the rice on these trays. They grow the rice on these trays. So a lot's been planted. And then it goes into the rice harvester and they plant it. Like if you've seen some of my other videos, you see how the rice planting machines work. But yeah, he's got a lot of invested in here. The old dog. Hi, buddy. He's in pretty happy fella. Now here you've got onions, so he also grows onions, cabbages and different things. So you know, he's just not growing rice and wheat, he grows other stuff too. But you can see here, he's got all the onions here. They're all ready. So they'll be dug up soon and harvested. So he's got a lot of them, but a lot of wheat over here. So, you know, like because they're not growing the amount of wheat, amount of rice they used to, there's a shortage. Now, that's just this area. What they're doing in other parts of Japan, or, you know, I'm not sure. But that's just in this area. They tend to grow a lot of other stuff now where before it was all rice. So this is just what's happening. But the prices of rice is just off the charts at the moment. So, you know, like a lot of old people and that, they're having a very hard time, you know, here he is here, the farmer fella. He's a nice guy. Very friendly. So anyway, we'll go up and I'll show you, we'll have a bit of a look at JA, the little shop up the road. Righto, now this is JA, so Japan Agriculture. So it is huge. Like here they got service stations. They own service stations. They have supermarkets. They have warehouses. So if you're a farmer and you grow your produce, fruit and vegetables, you bring it here and they buy it and distribute it. They tell you what they want and the quality and everything, and you produce it, bring it here. They take it and sell it. So this is one of the warehouses. So this is just where I live. So every place has its own JA. This is just where I live. So there's places a lot bigger than this. This isn't so big. But here is a warehouse here. This is where they keep a lot of rice and different things. So, you know, it's all under big undercover awning so they can unload and load. If it's raining, it doesn't get wet. But this is just one of their warehouses at this place. So they've got all the rice and different things. See, here's all bags of rice in here. This is all your rice and that. You know, so when they were going on about there was a rice shortage and there were no rice, this place had plenty of rice when they came up here. See, this is all bags of rice and that. Oh, plus fertilizers and different things. You know, it's not all just rice. They have other stuff in there too. A bank. So you got JA Bank. We have our car insurances through here, through the bank. They do our car insurance. So, you know, it's pretty huge. And here they got the JA shop. So you can come and buy stuff off them. Don't know where this fella's gone. He's got the older person sticker. But here you got fertilizers and different stuff. Here's all the different fertilizers and stuff. So you can buy all that here. Your fertilizers. Inside you can buy rice and everything. Yeah. Seeds and everything. You might just have a bit of a look inside. Yeah. Roundup. Got all your stuff here. Here's rice. So you use your rice tickets to buy this. But they've got all the stuff here. All your sprays and everything. This is just one little shop. Yeah. All your farming needs. You know, tap irrigation systems and sprays and that. Anyway, this is JA shop. So that's the rice there. You need it to buy. Yeah. So, you know, JA, they run a lot of stuff. You know, they have got a big, they really have a big influence on them. Well, they do. They tell people what to grow and how much and quality and everything like that. So like when we get real bad weather, like I said before, if the rice is split or not up to scratch, you know, it gets sort of separated and it gets sold for other stuff. So anyway, that's a bit of a look about the rice industry. It's just a little bit of a look. It's very complicated. It is really complicated, and it's you know, I've just given you a little bit of a brief look at it, but it is very complicated and how it all works. But there are a lot of factors why we have a rice shortage and why the rice is so expensive. You know, we've had a few bad seasons. Farmers aren't growing as much as they used to. Weather, you know, now it's got a lot hotter in Japan than it used to be. When I first come to Japan 30 years ago, probably the average temperature in summer was around 30 degrees. Last year and that sort of thing, it was probably around 34, 35 degrees. So, you know, it's getting hotter. So it does mess up the rice. Anyway, that's it for today. Till next time, have a good one. Catch you later.